YouTube, this is another QAZWSX2541 Blender tutorial. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a special tutorial. So this one's going to be basically making a short little game. Right now I'm using my FPS template, link in the description to download this. One simple modification to this, and that is that I have an empty attached to my player cube that shoots a snowball. Like that. Right now it's unlimited ammo, so I'm going to show you how to add in ammo right now. So to do that, whenever you open the template, there's going to be an empty setting sort of alongside a cube. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select him, and we're going to add a game property. This game property we will name ammo. We're then going to switch this AND controller to a Python controller and download the ammo script. Link is also in the description. And we will run that from the AND controller. Now what this ammo script does is it subtracts the ammo whenever the fire controller, or fire sensor, is activated, and whenever you have enough ammo. So the ammo property we're actually going to switch to an integer. That's not, entirely necessary, but probably a good thing to do. So if we set this property up to, say, 10, we can play the game, and we have 10 shots, after which we can't shoot anymore. So after that, we do still want to we want to be able to pick up ammo from the ground, from around the place. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to go into the second layer. In the second layer there is simply the snowball. I'm going to hit Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, I'm going to add a cube. I'm going to enter edit mode, and I'm going to scale this cube by 0.5, so you can do S 0.5, makes it half the scale as what it was. Move this off to a side so it's away from the snowball. Entering edit mode, I'm then going to put in SY 1.5, so I'm scaling it on the y-axis by 1.5. I'm going to select the top 4 vertices there, hit E to extrude, and then I'm going to scale it inward. And then I'm going to hit E to extrude again, and I'm going to extrude downwards, like so. I want to add a bit more color to this box, so I'm going to go to the Materials tab, and I'm going to add a new material and make it red. Just because, red is kind of holiday-ish, Christmassy. So then what I'm going to do is I want to use this shape inside the box, so I'm just going to duplicate the snowball. And the programming that's in here doesn't matter because we will simply join it to the box in a second. So just duplicate these snowballs around, and we will make sort of a box full of snowballs, basically. I'm going to drag these guys are kind of poking out the side there just a little bit. Okay, so then I'm going to hit B, I'm going to box select all of the snowballs that are there, and then I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to reselect the box, and then I'm going to hit Control J, and that joins all of them together. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Physics tab for the box. I'm going to turn on Actor, and I'm going to turn the collision bounds onto Box. I'm then going to add a game property, and this game property will be also named Box. Then I'm going to add a collision sensor. This collision sensor will be looking for the property Player, which is on the boundary box of our player. I'm going to add an AND controller and a Edit Object Actuator. So we will switch this from Add Object to End Object. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our first layer here. I'm going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to add an empty. I'm going to choose plain axis, but that's preference. So then I'm going to drag this away from the player just a little bit. I'm going to add an always sensor, a AND controller, and an Edit Object Actuator. And I'm going to do Add Object, and I'm going to choose Cube.001, which I believe is our box. Really should be named Ammo or something like that. So whenever we play the game, the ammo box appears where the empty was. So we can test this out. We hit play, we can look back and forth, and we can move over it, and the box disappears. So now what we'll do is we'll select our player boundary box, and we'll shift select the empty. We will add a sensor to our collision box. This will be a collision sensor. It will be looking for the collision with the property box. Add an AND controller to our empty, and wire that to the collision sensor on our boundary box. Turn on tap on this collision sensor, by the way, so that we are sure it only adds the ammo once. Then add a property actuator to the empty, and this property actuator will add to the property ammo value of 10. So I'm going to turn on debugging here. Show debug properties. So switch to the camera angle and press play. You can see up there in the top left we have an ammo of 10. We run over the cube and we get an ammo of 20. So now we can shoot 20 snowballs. So next what we're going to do is I'm going to make it so that the ammo reappears after an amount of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on pulse mode on this always sensor. I'm going to put the time up pretty high, so let's try 300 and turn on tap mode. Next I'm going to add a near sensor. This near sensor will be looking for the property box, and we're going to turn on invert and wire that into the AND controller. So now if the empty is not near the box, we will add a cube, add a new box of ammo. So we play the game, we can go up, we can grab the ammo, we can back up, and it reappears. That's a bit fast, so maybe we should lengthen that up a bit. So let's go to 500. You can adjust this as much as you want. So there we got snowballs now. And we can go and we can pick up ammo, and we get more. Okay, so next let's add in a few objects into the world. So let's hit Shift A, add mesh cone. So I'm going to drag this over here, enter edit mode, and I'm going to hit Shift D, bring that up and scale it down, Shift D, bring it up, scale it down, Shift D, bring it up, scale it down. I'm going to repeat this a few times. Okay, and now I'm just going to scale the whole thing up a little bit, I guess. There we go. I'm going to add a new material to this, and this one will be green. This will be like a darker green, so there we go. I'm going to turn on smooth shading over here on the left and make sure it sets on the ground. So then I'm going to switch to the top view by pressing 7 on the number pad, turn on orthographic viewing mode by pressing 5 on the number pad, and I'm just going to duplicate these trees around the place by hitting Shift D. Okay, and I'm also going to duplicate the ammo spawns at a few different places. There we go. So now let's add in a few enemies. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to add an empty straight in the middle, right where the player is, and then I'm going to make it spin around randomly, and there will be a spawner parented to that center object, so that will spin around and it will spawn in enemies. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select our player box, hit Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, add mesh empty. This will be a plane axis empty. We can view it a little bit closer, and we're going to attach the random script. Link is also in the description below. So we're going to add an always sensor, turn on pulse mode, do 60, and turn on tap. And then we're going to add our Python controller. So we will link our random script, link in the description below as well. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to actually switch the pulse rate on the always sensor to let's try 120. Why not? So next, we're going to hit Shift D and drag it out on the x-axis. Drag that empty out on the x-axis. Right about there looks good. I'm going to Shift select the empty in the center and hit Control P, set parent to object. Selecting the one on the outside, we're going to delete that sensor and controller and add an edit object actuator. This will be an add object actuator. We will name this spawn with a capital S. Shift select the empty in the center and wire the actuator to the random controller. So next what we're going to do is we're going to actually add a enemy spawner, or an enemy object. So we're going to hit Shift A, add mesh UV sphere, because what's better than evil snowman, right? Enter edit mode, hit Shift D, going to move it up, scale it down. Hit Shift D again, move it up, and scale it down. Next we're going to hit Shift S cursor to selected, Shift A, add mesh, let's do a cube. Cube will work. Scale it way down, move it up and off to the side a little bit, scale it down even farther, and we'll scale it out on the x-axis. And this is really the part where you get to be creative, so I'm going to scale it down just a little bit farther and scale it up on the x-axis just to make it a little bit skinnier. And I'm going to hit Control R at a couple of points there, and I'm going to select all of them. And I'm going to turn on proportional editing here, and I'm going to switch it to random, and I'm going to drag up just to give sort of a zigzaggedy branch look almost. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new material to this object. This one will be kind of a brownish color for, wood. And I'm then going to do Shift D or Z180 for the stick. Shift select the other arm, shift select the snowman, select the snowman body first, add a new material, then select both the sticks, shift select the snowman, and hit Control J. So next what we're going to do is we're going to switch this to a dynamic object, and we're going to do collision bounds. Let's do sphere. Sphere works. So next what we're going to do is we're going to add an always sensor, add an and controller. We're going to add a motion actuator, and we're going to make him move forward on the local y-axis just by a little bit, not by much. Let's go a little less than that. And next we're going to add an edit object actuator, and this will be a track to actuator, and we will track to the object cube, which is our player. So next we're going to switch to the first layer, select our outside empty, and on the add object actuator we will add the object sphere 0.001, which again should be renamed something more meaningful like enemy. So if we zoom out here we can hit play, and you'll see it randomly spawns in snowmen 2 at a time. Looks like they go pretty fast, so let's slow them down a little bit. So go to the second layer, select him, and let's slow him down a bit. Play again, we spawn 2 snowmen at a time, and they move in towards the player. So now we'll make it so that if they get hit by a snowball, they lose health. So add a game property, this will be a property named health. And while we're at it, let's add another property. This property will be enemy. Oh, that's not spelled right. Okay, so next we're going to add a collision sensor, and we're going to look for the property snowball. Add an and controller, and add a property actuator. This property actuator is going to add the property health -1. So let's put health, switch it to an integer, and let's put it up to 3. So next what we're going to do is we're going to select our snowball and actually add that snowball property to it. So snowball, there we go. And next what we're going to do is with the snowman selected, we will add a property sensor. So whenever the property health is equal to 0, add an and controller and a edit object actuator, and this will be a end object actuator. So whenever we play the game, switch the camera angle by pressing 0, we play the game, look around, there's a snowman, we hit him 3 times and he dies, and we're out of ammo. So we can go around, pick up more ammo, get more snowmen, and we are surrounded. So it looks like maybe they're adding in a bit fast. So to fix that, we can select the inside empty, and we can just up this a little bit. So let's go to like 300 on that always sensor. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to select our cube's boundary box, and we're going to add a property health to this as well. We're going to add another collision sensor, and this collision sensor will be looking for the property enemy. Switch health to an integer, and we're going to up this one to 5. So then we're going to add an AND controller and a property actuator. So whenever the property, so we're going to add to the property of health -1, and whenever the property health is equal to a value of 0, we will let's quit the game. We'll quit the game, and we'll restart the scene. So then what we'll do is we'll switch to the second scene, and whenever the snowman gets to the player, we'll actually just make him disappear. So we'll add a collision sensor to the property for the property player and controller, and we can just wire this one into the same end object actuator there. So we play the game. So let's go get this ammo. Look around, there's a snowman. So we want to get him. Oh, there's one right in front of me. We need more ammo. He is right on me. I don't think they know how to die. So, select the cube. I'm going to turn on debug properties for the health, just so I can check what my health is. So right now it is 5, which is really good. There goes 4. Doesn't look like they like colliding at certain places with the snowballs. I only have 1 health left, and I'm probably backing up towards more enemies. And I just really glitched that up. I don't know, did I run into a tree? I did something wrong and I glitched up into the air. Okay, well that's got a really simple game. I guess one last thing to check is to make sure that the scene does restart whenever we get hit enough. So there's 2, 1, one more snowman. Up there it restarted. Okay. So that's it for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. Come on, guys. Work with me here. Run. Okay. So that's it for this tutorial. Thank you guys very much for I'm not very good at this. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers. Man, almost 400 subscribers. That is, I mean, it may not sound like much to a lot of people, but that's really cool. Really cool that almost 400 of you guys watched one of my videos and thought that you want to see more of them. There you are. They are right behind me. I'm not doing very good at this. Okay, well thank you all very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the holidays.